Hello everyone, this is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Today is day 2 of my 4 days of live demonstrations for my Facebook workshop. I do have 3 projects lined up again tonight like we did last night. And we did find out last night that I am not able to post videos on the event page. I tried and it brought me right back to my business page. So we're going to have to go a little bit back and forth from here to the events page to continue the workshop once I'm done my video. So I wanted to mention a few things. I am doing, it's my 9-year Stampinversary with Stamping Up this month. And I'm doing 9 different things associated with the number 9. At the end of the month, when all the orders have been placed, I'm going to put everybody's name in a drawing to win 9 of these items that I have listed here. So I wanted to mention that. I also wanted to just review, these are the 4 cards I will be sending everybody that places orders using the hostess code that I provided for this workshop. And tonight my focus is on the Springtime Foils designer paper. This paper will be available on Friday, February 16th. There's 4 designs and you get 3 sheets of each. This is a Sale-A-Bration item that you'll earn for free. So if you place a $50 order, you can put this in there for free. So I'm using that on all 3 projects tonight. So let's get started. And just like I did last night, I'm going to lay down all of the measurements that I'm using. And you guys can go back and look at the video and pause it to write down these measurements also. The first card we're making tonight is this powder pink. It's got the designer paper on the background with a vellum layer over the top. I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to start out with a card base of 11 inches by 4 1/4, scored at 4 1/2 or 4 1/4. Let me start over, I said that wrong. 11 inches by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. For the inside, we need 4 inches by 5 1/4. The designer paper measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. The vellum paper measures 3 3/4 by 5. Powder pink, 4 inches by 2 1/4. And then we need a small strip of white that's 1/2 inch wide, and we're going to cut that so it doesn't matter how long it is. I'm using powder pink ink, the triple banner punch, organza ribbon, and then we're going to be using these, let me move my ink pad before I make a mess. These dies, which can be found in the first release. They're called Celebrate You Thinlits dies. You get 3 words that you can cut out, and you can earn these for free during celebration with a $100 order. So I'm going to be using the Amazing for this card. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this on the score line. We're going to glue down the designer paper first. I want to thank everybody for the kind comments for last night's workshop. I know a lot of you guys loved all 3 cards that we made. I did get a lot of private messages. Okay, now when you glue vellum, if I use this, the snail runner on this, it's going to show through. And I know that I'm going to glue my powder pink in the center. So I'm going to add glue just to the center. And that's actually enough to hold this in place. Okay, now let's do a little bit of stamping. I'm going to bring in the flower image. But first, what I want to do is use the banner punch. If some of you are not good at hand cutting the flag on the end, which I did this by hand, but I'm going to show you how you can do it with the triple banner punch. Just make sure you center that. When you flip it over, just make sure it's in the center. Whoops, I keep moving that. That's not quite in the middle. Okay, and that creates your little V. Now I'm going to add our simply and the word you. And then I'm just going to take my snips and cut that off. Okay, now I'm going to position and glue both the banner and the word amazing because I want to stamp around that. I'm going to bring in my fine tip glue pen. This is perfect to use for the skinny areas like this. Isn't it amazing all the glues and adhesives that we need to do cards with? It's like each glue has a specific reason for purchasing it. And then I'm going to place this right here. And I'm going to bring in my catalog and just press down. I find it's easier to glue it down this way. Okay, now I'm going to stamp around that. So I'm just going to add little bits and pieces here and there. One more. See how neat that looks with just a little bit of stamping. And it's what I used is the Blushing Bride ink over the powder pink because it's a little bit darker and I like the way that looks. So we're going to add this layer right over where I added the glue. So as you can see, that's on there. It's flat. Even though there's no glue in this area, it stays flat and you don't see anything come through that. Okay, the last step for the front is to add the ribbon. And this is the new organza ribbon. What's great about this ribbon too, you can actually use your blends markers and add color to the ribbon. I don't know if you've tried that yet or not. Okay, again, I'm going to make large loops and then pull them in. I can't see if you guys are here or commenting yet. Oh, just to let you know, I did order an iPad today, so I'll be able to interact with you more once I get that all set up. Now, I always like to cheat with my bows that are in the front like this. I usually bring in a glue dot and I just grab one and I stick it under the bow. And it just makes sure that everything stays intact. Okay, so the front is all done. Now we're going to do the inside. I've also had quite a few of you message me or talk to me in person about doing live workshops where I tell you ahead of time what the supplies are going to be. That way you can get ready and you can stamp with me. So the good news is I'm going to start that in a couple weeks. Okay, so Celebrate You and a bunch of flowers. Now this would be considered a monochromatic card because we're sticking with one color. So this would be a monochromatic pink card. Okay, and that's card number 1. So let's move on to project number 2. I feel like I'm moving quickly here. For project number 2, I'm actually going to create a tag to go with the card. We're going to need the scallop tag topper punch, powder pink 4 1/4 by 2, the Springtime Foils, and that coordinates with the card, 2 inches by 1 1/2, Whisper White 2 1/4 by 1, and a piece of gold foil. Let me put it on the pink here so you can see it. 1 3/4 by 1/2 inch, and I've already cut the notch on the end. And then we're using these cute little clips that can be found in our embellishments. So I'm going to start out by stamping and then I'm going to bring the punch in. This is a quick one to cut out the notch. And then the designer paper goes on the bottom of the tag. So once we're done here, you will need to go to the events page. I have some more stuff there that I post. It's not live, it's just some interactive posts. I do have a drawing for a prize each night. Okay, I'm going to add a bow here just like we did on the card. So pretty much all the supplies that I used on the card, I'm also using on the tag. Now, what I did with this reminds me of a little clipboard because I inserted this into the hole and it peeks out on the back. It just reminds me of a little mini clipboard. I had to mess with it a little bit to get it in there, but it does fit. Okay, now we're going to stamp the sentiment. So Celebrate You. And then that just goes under the little clip. And let's move that over so we can see the bow. And then I just stick the gold one in there too. So that goes off to the side like that. And the last step, we're going to add just a knot that slides in there. And all I did for this on the top was add a double knot. So this makes a nice little set if you want to include a small gift with the card. You can use this as a gift tag. So as you can see, that makes a nice set. So that's project number 2. That was a really quick one. I did want to announce last night, I forgot to post what I had for a door prize, and I had the self-adhesive back sequins and the lemon lime twist ombre ribbon, and Kathy Sanford was my winner, and I did post that on the events page. So congratulations to Kathy. Tonight my drawing, once you go to the events page, I'm going to have a drawing for a stamp set, and I have 3 to pick from. The one I'm using tonight, Amazing You, the beautiful peacock, and lots of lavender. So the winner for my drawing will get to pick one of these stamp sets of their choice. Okay, now let me move everything aside here and we'll get ready for project number 3. I have quite a few items to show you here. I am going to be using the blends markers. So Stamping Dimensional, white baker's twine. I'll show you the card once I'm done telling you what I need. Old olive ink, the leaf punch, and this is the Stitched Shapes Framelits dies. This is the largest of the circle, and I'll show you what I did with that. The blends markers, I have the Old Olive Light and Dark, Daffodil Delight Light and Dark, and the Color Lifter if I make a boo-boo. These are the Petal Passion embellishments. They come in little flowers. They have little pearls on the inside and the center. And then we have the little leaf, and that's the one we're going to use tonight on the card I'm making. The card base is always artichoke, 11 inches by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. Springtime Foils, 5 1/4 by 4. Isn't that pretty? I love the way that shimmers. I wish you could see it in real life. It's so pretty. Take my word for it. The inside of the card, 5 1/4 by 4. A scrap piece of vellum. And then I need a leaf for the front of my card, and I'll show you why. So I have a little scrap here that has this leaf we're going to use. Whisper White, and it's just a 1-inch wide strip we're going to cut. A little piece of designer paper, and that, I didn't put that on here. It's just a 1/2 inch by 4 inches. That goes on the inside. Now what I've done with the stitch shapes, I've gone ahead and cut a circle. I've cut off about a 1/2 inch on the end. And for this card, we are using the blooming baskets, but we're just using the sentiment. I'm going to be using this set tomorrow night to do 3 projects. This is one of the new ones that will be available on February 16th. I have some really neat projects to show you tomorrow night. And the card we're making tonight is this one. What I've gone ahead and done is colored the designer paper with the blends markers. Very easy to color this. Okay, let me cut everything that I need first. We're going to need 2 of the vellum leaves. And then we need the embellishment. We're going to need the twine. Very little stamping on this one. All we're stamping is the sentiment. And then the inside, I left it blank because it's here for you. And this is one of those cards that I don't know what I want on the inside until I need it. So we're going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment. I'm going to place that right in the center. And then, if I can find my scissors, I'll use my paper snips and cut close. And then here's the second side. And again, you could use the punch if you wanted to. So this is all ready. So all we have left to do is to color in all of the flowers and leaves. Now it's up to you if you want to do both the dark and the light. I started with the dark and then I kind of blended where they meet. So you can see that this colors really nicely on this paper. The only thing is, because it's designer paper, you have to hurry because it does dry faster than cardstock. So I'm just going to add some dark areas. Now, how many of you have the Blends markers? I just love these. They color so well. I just want to show you, I purposely went over the line here. I'm going to use the color lifter and I'm going to make that disappear. See how that moves that color? So this actually lightens up that color, so it does eventually go away. It'll get lighter as we go. So if you didn't know what a color lifter, that's to fix any boo-boos. I'm hoping that we are going to come out with more colors of the blends. We have 12 colors right now, and they have been very well received. We just have a few more leaves and then we'll move over to the flower. And don't forget, if you do decide to get the blends, you need the Memento black ink to stamp with if you're going to do your own stamping of images and then coloring them. If you use the regular black, it's not going to work. Okay, now I need the dark one. I'm kind of coloring this fast because I know you're just sitting there watching. I thought it would be cheating if I colored everything ahead of time. And there's no right or wrong way to color with these markers. Some people like to start out with the light first. It depends what I'm coloring, because sometimes I start out with the light and sometimes I start out with the dark. Okay, I just slipped and made a little boo-boo, so let me fix that. And that'll lighten right up. Did anyone watch the Olympics last night after our class? If you did, I couldn't believe Shaun White. What an awesome gold medal he won last night. Okay, just a few more. I usually color a lot slower than this, but I don't want you to have to wait forever for me to get done. So I'm trying to hurry. And yellow roses are my favorite. That's what my husband usually gets me every year for Valentine's Day. Oh, and happy Valentine's, everyone. Okay, so you can see what a difference this makes by adding color to the designer paper. Let me just lighten this one more time. That's where the first boo-boo was, and you can see that it's gone away. So now let's glue this in place. I'm going to show you 3 different ways to use the basket weave embossing folder tomorrow night. I had a lot of fun playing with that today. Okay, now we're going to glue the circle. And then I'm going to wrap the twine around twice. And I want my bow to be over to near the end of the circle in the center. So I just pulled in my loops. Okay, let's straighten this out. Okay, I've got one loop that's a little smaller. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to add the sentiment, if I can find it. I just lost it. There it is. You should see my counter right now with 3 projects going. I have a mess, and I'm not usually a messy person. I like everything to have its own place. Okay, before I put this there, I'm going to add the leaves. And I'll bring in my liquid glue for that. And I also need to color the leaf that we're going to glue all by itself, which is on my scrap. And it'll just take me a second to cut this out. So you see how I had this little tiny scrap and I can still use something from it. It's always a good idea to keep your scraps. And I know some of you are probably cringing because I'm fussy cutting. I have a lot of local customers that do not like to fussy cut. I love to fussy cut. Okay, we're going to glue this right here. And now we can add our sentiment layer. Okay, I need to move this just a little more. And lastly, we're going to add our little embellishment. And all I'm going to do for that is add a glue dot right where the little circle is. And I'm also going to add just a little bit of liquid glue. I always double up on my adhesive just to make sure that it doesn't move on me. So that's so far. Now all we have left to do is add the strip of designer paper at the bottom. And like I said, when I get ready to use this card, I would finish the inside, like with a thinking of you or I'm so sorry or something, you know, something heartfelt like that. And again, this was just a little piece of designer paper I had left over, so what a perfect place to add it. So there's both cards. So again, 3 cards for tonight, or 2 cards for tonight, 3 projects, because we had the tag to coordinate with this card. So right now, I'm going to ask you to hop on over to my event page. I did put the link in the previous post that you can click on. Because it was dated for yesterday, it's going to show up as a past event on your event list. So I'll see you over there. Thanks for stopping in tonight.